Good morning, everyone. This is Hosam Hassan, and I will be the host of your webinar today. And welcome to our Fighting Legionella webinar in collaboration with Quandify and Forest Rock. And I will just talk you through how the webinar will go through now. We'll go through now, and then we will. I'll give the chance to our panelists for now to introduce themselves and take you through the content of the webinar. So the webinar today is about how the digitalization of smart buildings enhances prevention and safety. And the content of the webinar, or how the webinar is structured, will start by a brief introduction to our panelists, the companies in collaboration for this webinar, and then we would then move on to discussing the real problem, which is the Legionella and the reason behind it. And the third part of our webinar, or the part before the last part, is how the three companies in the webinar today will offer the solution to tackle Legionella. And then at the end of the webinar, there will be about 15 minutes a Q&A sessions, and there's also a question panel in the control panel in this webinar. Feel free to pop your questions in there. At the end, you can also ask your questions yourself. At the end of the webinar, just write the word question, and then I'll allow you to I'll unmute yourself, and then you can ask our panelists any questions that you have. Any other questions or any feedback that you might have, please feel free to pop it in the chat.
Good morning, all. Thank you very much for joining our webinar. This is Aleem Aftab. I'm working as an IoT specialist at Forest Rock. It has been around 2 years. I look after LoRaWAN and wireless solutions, and I've worked on this particular product and the use case that we're going to present.
Thank you, Aleem. Good morning, everyone. And as Aleem said, thank you for joining the webinar. My name's Rob Faraday. I work as the Commercial and Business Development Director for All IoT, helping build our product sets and specifications for the market.
Thanks, Robert. And my name is Faizan Zahir, and I work as a partner manager for Quandify. And I'm delighted to be part of this webinar and a part of this panel representing a Swedish IoT manufacturing company from sunny Stockholm today. Good morning, everybody.
Okay, so a lot of you who are attending today might already know who All IoT is, but we are a distributor of LPWAN-based products with a particular expertise in the LoRaWAN side. We're LoRa Alliance members ourselves. Trading now for getting close to 8 years, and we have built a product set for the market where we distribute hardware, we look after the connectivity, we also in some cases offer software solutions, but they tend to come from third parties rather than ourselves. And our real role is to work with the manufacturers, partners that we have around the world, and bring these products into our client partners, obviously here in the UK, but we distribute globally as well. Today really is around Legionella and water safety, and we do provide particularly useful products for this market. In fact, it's one of the oldest use cases we've come across. When we first started All IoT, one of our first ever clients specialized in Legionella monitoring and the benefits of using IoT to achieve that goal. But in this particular instance, what we're trying to do is give you an insight, one with a manufacturing partner, which will be Faizan and Quandify, and just as importantly, one of our clients, Forest Rock, who actually go out and install this equipment into the market to give you an idea of what they're doing, what they've achieved, and what the benefits are.
All right, thanks, Rob. So as I said earlier, Quandify, to give you a brief introduction, is a Swedish manufacturing company innovating and leading the market in digital water metering and leak prevention and detection devices. We've spent the past few years building a very strong track record with non-invasive and clamp-on technology. which are basically compatible with both Wi-Fi and LoRaWAN connectivity. And as you can see, we've been starting this from 2017, and since then, we actually have grown quite a lot into the other European markets. We are now present in more than 20 countries all over the world. And of course, as of now, we are part of the Latour group. And for those who do not know about Latour, Latour is one of the biggest investment companies, which brings us under the same umbrella as companies like Elvaco and Elsys, and now Quandify as well.
Right. About Forest Rock, it has been 14 years since the inception of Forest Rock. We do a lot of different solutions. Basically, we work in the building management system industry, but we do tend to provide an end-to-end solution. We are a platinum distributor of Tritium and Niagara in the UK, and we design other solutions around the BMS solution that we provide. That includes LoRaWAN, networking solutions, remote access solutions. We have an in-house software development team as well. We have developed an energy management software solution. And then we do pen testing for Google as well, one of the two companies in the world that are doing it. One is Forest Rock and one is based in the United States. On this particular project, we have worked with Quandify and All IoT to design a solution for our client, which includes different hardware that will go into detail into next slides.
Okay, so why are we here? Well, Legionella is obviously an issue where you have water source that can be accessed by the public. So it's the responsibility of landlords and estates to make sure that they have risk assessments in place. Legionella can develop in either stagnant water, in areas for cooling towers, hot tubs, anywhere really where water can be stable at 20 to 45 degrees, which gives you the ability for Legionella to develop. Also in areas where there is no flow. So if it's no flow or very little flow, that's going to exacerbate the problem as well. The report, right, apologies for all you watching. Webinar with a technical problem. Okay, so for those, I probably repeat myself, but Legionella obviously is a threat to all buildings where there are water that can be accessed by the public. Legionella itself is an issue that breeds between 20 and 40 degrees, 45 degrees in cold or warm water systems. This can be things like cooling towers, hot tubs, pretty much anywhere where there is low or no flow through the pipe, given the ability to Legionella to develop. These outbreaks are normally preventable by maintenance and risk reports run by the building managers, but they can only be done if you have continuous monitoring to know that you have a problem in the first place. There are many cases where in 2023, as the slide shows, over 600 confirmed cases of Legionella disease were recorded in England and Wales. And there's, you know, it's now a compliance issue across the board that you have to have a risk report and monitor for Legionella. If you don't comply, obviously, then there are issues. Now, non-compliance consequences are normally in the way of fines, inadequate maintenance of air conditioning cooling towers, for instance, causes issues and can lead to death. The compensation that is therefore an issue for insurance companies. You've got fines by the government for not keeping your Legionella documentation and risk assessment up to date. And obviously you've got the risk to health of the individuals themselves. So who's at risk? Well, pretty much anyone who comes into contact with the water systems, but obviously it would people with chronic illnesses, respiratory issues, etc., will tend to be more at risk. The bacteria will multiply between 20 and 45 degrees, as I said, so it's a legal responsibility of the landlords or building managers to make sure that this is, this is monitored. if you understand the risk and you're recording the data, when you do have an issue, you can then either manually open the tap and flush the lines, or you can set up automated flushing systems to be able to make sure that every risk that's been alerted is acted on in real time. So having that real-time data, having automated reporting, and having that audit ready, because it is a compliance issue, obviously is a big bonus to anybody who wants to carry out this sort of this monitoring in real time. And more importantly, it hasn't always been done. We've seen many occasions where people are just missing reporting because there's a change of staff, somebody's not available. They go out to third-party companies. That's a cost burden on the building itself. So what we're trying to do is put together systems where you can, one, minimize cost. You have to do it anyway, so let's make sure it's done properly. And three, make sure that we're going into these projects with a real solution, something that's going to work for everybody. And that brings us on, obviously, to cooperation. So I'll hand over to Faizan, who will run through what unique product they have to be able to tackle this.
Thanks, Rob. So for this project specifically, as you see, the device out of the Quandify portfolio which was selected is called the CubicMeter. And in basic terms, CubicMeter is a clamp-on LoRaWAN device. I can actually show you this in my hand here as well, if you can see. So what the CubicMeter basically is it has sensors, two ultrasonic sensors down here for water metering, temperature sensors, and leak detection capabilities. And as you can see on the screen as well, there are two different versions of it, a black version and a white version. Basically what that is that the black version is used for plastic and multi-layered pipes, and the white version is for copper and chromed copper pipes. But it is very important to understand as well that these devices, the CubicMeter, works between the pipe dimensions of 15 millimeter up to 25 millimeter of pipe sizes. We can go to the next slide. All right. So here, basically, we'll understand why the CubicMeter was chosen. So number one thing, as you might have already guessed, that this is a device which is a very easy thing to install. It's a plug and play kind of a thing. So just plug it onto a pipe, tighten it up, and it's ready to play. So which means is that the biggest USP here is that you do not need to call the plumber to install this device. You can do it yourself very, very easily, which also means that you are going to be saving a lot of unnecessary fees and costs, which you would have to otherwise have if you call plumbers and experts to install this device. Plus, we should also mention about the risks allocated when we talked about unnecessary pipe cutting, which can actually put buildings on a huge risk anyway. So again, no cutting involved, just directly putting it on the pipe and it's ready to go. Other than this, of course, as I already mentioned, this is also a leak detection device, which helps with not just all like big leaks. It helps you with micro leaks as well. So from small, medium, and large leaks specifically. And again, this is something which is made with longevity in mind. So we know about how important this project was for the customers as well, and they wanted to have a device which was reliable and had a very, very good long battery life. So the battery life on normal CubicMeters here basically is more than 10 years. Something that's even more than 15 and 17, but at a normal data transfer rate, it's more than 10 years. Plus, when we talk about the reliability of this device, which makes it very, very unique in the market, is that it is up to 98% accurate when installed properly. And lastly, and not the least important thing, we do provide APIs, which was actually very important for this project, which Aleem is going to mention down the line here today. Those APIs actually enable seamless integrations to any LNS or cloud platforms. So let's understand exactly how does the CubicMeter helps with Legionella monitoring. So the number one point, of course, is continuous water temperature monitoring. So the cubic meter can measure temperature using the temperature sensor, temperatures between 0.1 degrees up to 70 degrees. And as Rob mentioned before, Legionella bacteria thrives between 20 and 45 degrees. So continuously monitoring that water stays either below or well above this range is crucial for Legionella prevention. And using the platform or the portal, facility managers can set alerts if the temperature actually enters the risk zone, as we say, that promotes Legionella growth. And the second point, of course, would be detecting stagnant water, like low or no flow kind of a situation in pipes. So as we understand, Legionella risks increase when the water stagnates. The cubic meter's leak detection capabilities and flow monitoring actually help identify sections of system where the water is not moving properly, which is a key risk for Legionella buildup, as we understand. And lastly is regular data transmission, which is basically, as we understand, that it's the LoRaWAN communication device. Cubic meters transmit data at an hourly rate by default. But of course, if you want to increase the frequency via configuration, the data can be transmitted every 15 minutes as well, allowing more granular monitoring of the temperature and the flow in the pipes. And of course, there's immediate accountability because, as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be connected with platforms. Data can be reviewed in near real time via a portal or an app, ensuring quick responses if conditions for Legionella growth emerge. And now I would like to call Aleem for the next slide.
Thank you very much, Fazan and Rob. So now we come to the use case that we have worked on in collaboration with Quandify and All IoT. So we are based out in Loughborough University, and Loughborough University, they have installed LoRaWAN gateways all around the campus. So one of the major requirement within the campus was the student accommodation, where they wanted to monitor several things. One of the requirement was Legionella prevention and risk and leak detection as well. So what we did was, if we can go to the next slide, please. We worked with the summary of the deployment is that they wanted to prevent the Legionella threat in student accommodation. So it's a big student tower with 22 floors on it, and then there was a risk factor as well where there were unused taps and showers, so they wanted to avoid that as well. And on top of that, they wanted to monitor leak as well, because insurance claims of 40% they are constitution of leak due to leaks, basically. That's why. So these points led us to designing a solution involving Quandify CubicMeter, because as Fazan mentioned, it does water flow, it does water temperature, and it does leak detection all in one unit. So it was a perfect solution for that requirement. So regarding the implementation, for any LoRaWAN implementation, the first step is to do a site survey. That is to finalize the number of gateways. So we have a testing kit with us as well that we can offer to any of our clients. It has got a gateway, signal tester, a couple of sensors. It can be used as a demo kit as well. That was used to do a signal survey in the student accommodation, and a single gateway was able to cover the 22 stories. That shows the power of LoRaWAN, basically. Then the gateway was all set up. We used Watson's. We'll go into the details of that as well. Now there was time to install the sensors. So as Fazan mentioned, it's very easy to install a cubic meter. Even I have installed it in my office. I don't have any plumbing background, so it's really easy to install that. So it helped the customer monitor the water flow, water temperature, minimum and maximum, and then the usage as well, and then leak detection as well. And then at the end, the data was sent to the existing building management system of Loughborough University. So the hardware, if we can go to the next slide, please. So we used Watson's bridge as the gateway. So it's quite an open gateway. It supports more than 1500 plus devices at the moment, and number is increasing. Then we used a Quandify CubicMeter, and then their BMS was used as well, which is mostly Niagara based. So the Quandify meter was polling data to the Watson's gateway, and then Watson's gateway was using BACnet to transmit the data into the BMS. And then from the BMS, different alarms were set up based on different thresholds and values coming out of the sensors. Next slide, please. So the results were, because almost every tap or every pipe was being monitored, so there was 100% prevention of Legionella risk, and the monitoring was done 24/7. During the install, there was zero disruption because there was no plumbing involved. It's just a simple clamp-on sensor, and the student, they carried on with their normal life. So the key takeaways, as I mentioned at the very start of my discussion, Watson's Gateway was installed. It opened up different avenues for Loughborough University. So now they have installed different other sensors as well into the building or across the campus. It's a very reliable alternative to wired connections. It's really easy to install. It saves a lot of money as well, the LoRaWAN technology, and it's future proof as well. If you have got a gateway installed in any building or any space, you can add any sensor in the future as well. And then, like I said, Watson's, they have got the compatibility with 1500 plus devices, so that makes it integratable with a lot of different use cases. It can be standalone or it can be integrated into a third-party system as well, like a BMS system or a cloud system. And with the retrofits, it's really cost effective to install LoRaWAN technology. So these are the key takeaways that we got from this use case. So how we are looking at the future of Legionella prevention in smart buildings is, now we are seeing a lot of different devices coming through, like the CubicMeter. So those devices are required for continuous monitoring, and you can do temperature, flow, usage, leak as well. Basically, it's the water quality that you can monitor. Easy retrofitting onto pipes as per the pipe sizes mentioned by Faizan, and it's LoRaWAN technology, so it has deeper penetration and long range as compared to other wireless technologies. Then for the future, you can implement AI and machine learning on that data that you're getting from the sensors. So instead of doing, you can be proactive by creating a baseline of the data that you're going to get from the sensors using AI and machine learning. You can create different data sets. You can see different patterns of the data coming out of the sensors, and then based on those patterns, you can design a machine learning model as well to do the risk assessment in advance. Then the automation part, there are different devices available that can do automated flushing as well. So for example, if any of the customers seeing has deployed Quandify, I'm seeing a stagnant water or there is no flow, it can send a command to an automated flusher. There are different devices, like I said, they can flush out water. And then you can do automated leak detection. You can generate different compliant reports, and you can reduce manual labor as well. So I'll hand over to Rob after that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Aleem. Thanks, Faizan. So we look in, I was saying, all IT's role in this is to look at the client base who want to integrate smart monitoring for Legionella services. Each building is going to be different. They'll tend to have their own risk report that they need to follow, their own procedures that they need to follow, but we're there to be able to help them with whatever is required in a particular project, and take something which currently is done manually or is being farmed out to third-party companies and could be quite expensive, and make that compliance issue smart. Quandify is an ideal solution for Legionella monitoring, because it doesn't just tell you what the pipe temperature is, which you need to monitor anyway, but it also confirms the flow through the pipe, or if there's no flow through the pipe. And obviously then there's another benefit, which if you've got leaks on that pipe, which is another risk outside of this particular use case, you get that data as well. But we can offer the sensors that will bring in the data first of all. We work with all of the major LoRaWAN gateway manufacturers. So whether you're pushing data into the BMS, as Forest Rock's expertise is, or whether you're pushing it to a cloud system and then out to a third-party network server, we can supply the gateway, the cellular connection, and the cloud server to be able to take that project forward. And then if you have your own dashboard, we can set up the endpoints, but if you don't, we can recommend or even supply, in some cases, a full solution if that's what's required. Our role in this is to look at what the project requires and offer that set of products or services to our partners to be able to then go to the end users and put this system in place. So what do you get if you're using this? Well, as I said, normally somebody is wandering around, right, taking a pipe temperature, writing it down in a Legionella audit form and showing that they're compliant, or they're identifying there's an issue, and then somebody else is going to open a tap, open a faucet, run a shower to be able to run the water out of that system so that we've got flow through the pipe. It's expensive because you're either using manpower that could be used more efficiently somewhere else, or it's out with a third party, which again is an extra cost. And there are occasions where you have an outbuilding which is miles away, could take one person half a day just to go take a temperature, open a pipe and come back. Well, you can do all this remotely using the system. So you get 24/7 remote monitoring. You never miss a reading that you need to take. You have to make sure that from an automated compliance system, you're staying ahead of the regulations, not trying to catch up to what you're going to do. You're getting real-time alerts. So when the conditions for Legionella exist, you can see what they are and you can take the actions that you need. Or, as we've all mentioned earlier, you could put additional products in place to do automated flushing systems as well. You're taking away the need for manual checks, other than where chemical analysis is done, which still would have to be done if that's what the risk report has. But everything else is on an automated system. So you've got time savings and you've got obviously lower operational costs. And then easy integration. So if you already have a system where you want the data to be pushed, there's no issue. We can set it up in a way that that data goes into your existing software solution. But if not, it can be built around pushing it into BMS systems. It can be built around a full system that's being supplied. And then partners like Forest Rock can go install, integrate, and provide the full service for you as required. I think it's really important to have partners like Forest Rock with us in this to show that it is being used in the market and there is a real benefit to using this sort of product and service. So finally, we help design, or we work on your design. We supply, we hold stock of most of our popular products, so we can put these things together quite quickly. But more importantly, after we've delivered these products for you to install, it's our own technical team here in the UK who provide the support. So if you need any help, whether that be a technical issue, an install issue where you need data sheets, install instructions, anything that you run into, our team here can provide the support required.
And that marks the end of our webinar. First of all, I want to thank Rob, Faizan, and Aleem for the contribution to this today. And again, we hope you guys enjoyed it. And now it's time for questions. If you guys have any questions, or if there's anything or any part of the webinar that you seem that you haven't fully understood, please pop it in the chat or write the word question. Then I will unmute you myself and allow you to speak to our panelists. But just before we do that, we'll just take a few questions that people have asked during the webinar. So the first one, is from Franz, and I think this is more directed towards Faizan. So Faizan, Franz is asking, do they have to open the tube to install the CubicMeter?
So by opening the tube, I understand is basically cutting the pipe. So no, you do not need to open the tube or cut the pipe to install the CubicMeter. So basically, imagine if this is the pipe, you just put it on and tighten it up and just set it up. So you do not need to cut that.
That's absolutely fine. Thank you, Faizan, for answering that. Hope that answers your question, Franz. If it doesn't, just pop it in the chat again and we re-ask it to our panelists.
Sam, there's a request from Taib to share the slides. I'm sure if we can get the email address, you'd be able to provide a copy of the slides.
That's absolutely fine. I think we do have the email address on file from registering to the webinar. However, if you have any questions that you might want to ask Taib after the webinar, just feel free to contact us on our contact details that were in the previous slide, and even on our contact details that are on a platform at the moment. So one of the other questions, and it's also Faizan. Faizan, one of our attendees is asking, can you explain the importance of continuous water temperature monitoring in Legionella prevention, and how the CubicMeter delivers that?
Yes, so for example, as I mentioned in my slides as well, so this is a device which comes with a temperature sensing. So this is very, very important for especially for Legionella monitoring. As I said, you need to understand if the temperature is going to go into the risk bracket, which is where the Legionella can grow. So if that temperature goes between that temperature, you need to get an alert immediately using the platform that the temperature is going above or below that certain level. So constant looking at the temperature, this allows you to look at the constant temperature going into the portal, and you can set alerts. And when it comes to the flow as well, as I mentioned before, if the flow is not okay, if the flow is not constant, if it is stagnant, if there's a leak or anything happening, then this can actually measure the flow in the pipes and give you alerts as well. So this is a device which can give you multiple data on whatever platform you're trying to use, and you can set the alerts the way you want it to. In this case, if the flow is not proper, you can get an alert that the flow is not properly working, if the water is stagnant or the flow is not there at all, which is again very, very important to understand if there's a risk of Legionella gathering in the pipes. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you, Faizan. Again, if that doesn't answer your question, feel free to pop it in the chat again and we'll try and answer it as much as we can. So I think this is more for Rob and Aleem. So I'm trying to get the questions out, just a second. So yeah, someone's asking, what are the benefits of using LoRaWAN communication for data transmission in water management?
Rob, would you like to answer that?
Yes, of course. Well, ultimately, the benefit of LoRaWAN is it's a wireless technology. The infrastructure is light, it's very easy to install. It's a non-licensed frequency, so you can put your gateway in. It can work inside buildings of any shape or size. Penetration through walls, floors, doors, etc. is possible. So if you look at it at either very long range Wi-Fi, as some people do, or very short range cell tower, once you have the LoRaWAN equipment in the building and you have coverage, you can then go and place your sensors pretty much wherever you like. So installation's quick and efficient. The ability to add additional services once the network's there is really simple because the technology is totally interoperable. We're starting here with water safety for Legionella. Once you have that working, and it's a compliance issue, you have to do it. So using the technology to automate that is a major benefit. But you may want to do other things in the future, like energy monitoring or people counting or air quality, etc. So LoRaWAN really does lend itself to this particular use case in both cost, it's a low cost, the efficiency, as Aleem will testify on the install, is easy to be able to do compared to wired systems, and obviously reducing operational costs because otherwise this is a manual task.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rob. I would like to add here is LoRaWAN is now offering the control functionality as well. So it's not all about monitoring. You can control different devices as well through LoRaWAN technology. If you want more details, we can provide that on how we can do that or how we can design a solution that includes control as well.
Thank you, Aleem and Rob, for answering that question. And I think this is another question for Rob as well. And one of our attendees is asking, what role does All IoT play in supporting IoT projects for Legionella prevention?
Well, it's just simply working with our partners to find out what's required. If they give us a brief of the project, we can recommend the right hardware, the right gateways. We can set up the connectivity to be able to get that data. If they're automating it, we deal with a number of products that can act as flushing valves so that we're able to completely automate the system. Ultimately, we work on a B2B basis, so we're not working with an end client, we're working with our trusted partners who can then go and install the product. So we just need to understand what's required, should work it backwards. We know that they're looking around an existing risk report, so they need to duplicate that. Once we know the data, we then need to know what environment the equipment is going into. And once we understand how they want to ingest the data and the environment, we'll then put a product list together for them. So it's a relatively straightforward requirement in most cases, but with our manufacturing partners, obviously like Quandify and Present, we can get the right product into the right environment. Simple as that.
That's absolutely fine. Thank you very much, Rob. And I think this question is more directed towards Aleem as the future perspective slide from Forest Rock. And the question Aleem, one of our attendees asking is, what future technologies and regulations are expected to transform water safety in smart buildings?
So I think Rob has mentioned in one of his slides there are different safety acts in place already. There is one Health and Safety at Work Act, HSWA. It has been in place since 1974. Then there are different compliance acts, including Control of Substances Hazardous to Health Regulations, COSHH. So there are different regulations that are coming in place in the UK market which complies the landlord or the building management authority to monitor Legionella. So there are different ways of doing it. One is manual and one is the LoRaWAN which we have presented. So moving forward, you have to comply with those regulations. So you cannot ignore them. So that's why this use case can be of so importance to all of the building managers or landlords.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Aleem, and we hope that answers your question. If again, if you feel like the question hasn't been answered the way you want, pop in the chat again and we'll answer it. One more question that says, where can I buy the CubicMeter? And I think that's towards the whole panel.
I can actually confidently say all IoT.
We stock the units, so yeah, just tell us how many you want and when you want them, and we'll send a Aleem round to install them.
Yeah, if you want solution designing services, we are here to help as Forest Rock, but you can get these units from All IoT as well.
Perfect. And one final question, and it says, how does the collaboration between All IoT, Quandify, and Forest Rock, and that's again towards the whole panel, contribute to stronger solutions for Legionella prevention, and how does it proactively monitor Legionella and compared to traditional methods in terms of effectiveness and reliability?
I mean, from our perspective, obviously, it's essential that we have close relationships with our partners, who, in this case, is Forest Rock. We understand the feedback that they get from the projects that they're working on. That collaboration makes sure that if we are looking at offering products to market, we can work closer with Quandify if there are any adaptations are required or developments on their roadmap that we see are useful out in the marketplace. But we can only gain that from the insights that we get by knowing how the partners are getting on with the installs, with the projects that they're undertaking, and most importantly, the outcomes, the results that they're getting for installing these projects. So we try to work very closely with the clients that we supply product with, and we try to make sure that that feedback is always provided back to our manufacturers, because that information ultimately will show how they can develop their product going forward.
Yeah, I would like to add here, as Forest Rock, we have different partners within the UK, mostly system integrators working in the BMS industry. So another use case that we are working on currently is one of the buildings that one of our partners are managing. So while installing the Quandify there as test units with the Watson's Gateway, there were some technical issues on the decoders, like the Quandify units were, they needed some decoder improvement with Watson's. Watson's did that at their end, and we worked very closely with All IoT and Quandify to be able to make sure that that happens quite quickly as well. So, and then at the end, the system integrator partner for us was very happy. Their demo went very well, and it will lead for more orders as well. So it was the technical support that we got from All IoT and Quandify, especially Quandify. They did invest a lot in that decoder development with Watson's. So yeah, it's a joint effort, and hopefully it will continue in the future as well for more projects.
Thanks, Aleem. And of course, from my side, I can add is basically the LoRaWAN world is a very collaborative space. I mean, a manufacturer, a system integrator, they need to work very closely to actually have success in any of these projects. So as a manufacturer, of course, when we make the device, we have the sensors there, we have a pretty good hardware, but this is a kind of device which needs expertise when it comes to specific projects, and of course system integration, and of course the connectivity. So we need to rely on our partners, of course, to make sure that the end user or the customer has a good experience. And that can only be done with a collaboration with partners like Forest Rock and All IoT.
Thank you, Aleem, for answering that. And that marks the final question for our webinar today. Just to double check before we conclude our webinar, does anyone have any more questions? Just give it 1 or 2 minutes, and then we will end the webinar. Cool. Again, if you haven't had the chance to ask any questions during the webinar, feel free to contact us on our email or our phone number. Give us a call or send us an email with any questions, any projects that you might have, and we shall get it started and running up for you. But this now marks the end of our webinar. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for attending. I hope you guys enjoyed everything. And secondly, I want to thank our panelists for their contribution to this, and I hope that the attendees and everyone enjoyed it around. So thank you guys for everything, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks, Hassan, and thank everybody for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.